Hello, today we are going to answer two questions that have come up frequently. The first question, which is a practical one, is how do we manage headquarters? So that's the current situation. We will give you the information and explain why it's useful. And the second is the automatic translation feature that we are offering you. You had asked us questions about this, asking how we could make your life easier. Well, we're offering you a solution right away. Let's get started. We'll take a closer look at this. What is the purpose of headquarters? Well, let's take a look at that right now. All right, I'll try to draw you a diagram. Here, it's actually very simple. You see, we're going to have one agency, which I'll call Agency A, and then I'll have a second agency, which is called Agency B. So you've worked with different agencies that are completely independent from each other, meaning you'll invoice with one agency and you'll invoice with another. In other words, the particularity here is that these agencies are both part of a network, a group. They are independent when it comes to invoicing, but they are part of a group. And here I'm going to call it the ABCD group. So I have a group that's connected to several agencies that operate just below it in the organizational structure. That's why we're specifically talking about the agencies with which you'll be handling invoicing tasks. But it's important to remember that you'll also have the head office involved in the process. The head office oversees these agencies and plays a key role in managing and coordinating all the invoicing activities. And the head office is exactly the level we talked about here. It's, I would say, the upper level, and that's the level we're interested in here. It's about understanding how we can get analyses. That's what we're particularly interested in, being able to say, I want to know my figures, the progress I'm making with Agency A or Agency B, but I'd also like to have an overall analysis of my results to see if, in the case of the ABCD group, we're making good progress. Well, we'll be able to get that directly through the head office. So I'm going to go into the travel agency, and as you can see here we have the travel agencies, the categories, and the head offices. I've done exactly the same exercise by drawing as I did with the diagram. Agency A, Agency B, Agency C, Agency D. I have different agencies located in different places that I work with. And I have a head office that I've called the ABCD group. So once my group is created, I'll be able to go back into my agency and say that my Agency A is linked to the ABCDE head office. So here, it's really just a matter of entering it. And it will find the head office for me. That way, I'll link each agency to this head office. And like that, I'll be able to have a consolidated analysis. And that's what's interesting. Here, in the head office, I'll be able to have a direct view of which agencies are part of this group, as well as an instant overview of the different group confirmations you'll be able to make and of the revenue collected. What interests us in particular is, and I'll show you this on the dashboard, we'll go look at some statistics, for example. I'm going to look at my figures. I'm going to look at my figures for my travel agencies. And you can see here that I have the option to view by head office. So if we look by head office, what does that show us? Well, we get exactly the result we want. That is, here we can see agency by agency, what revenue each one generates, but we also have the consolidated result for the ABCD group with the total. And so this way you can analyze everything completely. If I change the view, for example, and go back to viewing by agency category, I'll find here in the category that I've set up, that I've organized in my domain called B2B France, I see the agencies listed individually, but in this case, I don't have the consolidated result. So that's the whole point of creating head offices. It allows you to have this analysis directly in all your statistics, in your financial calendar. It lets you see the overall progress within the group as well as agency by agency. So this improvement section comes from the questions you asked. Here, the obligation each time to recheck the translation. So this is Linda on the different products and therefore on new markets. like the German market, for example, saying, well, it's always time consuming to do, etc., and it's a waste of time. Who else had asked a question about this? Here Simon tells us, the integrated translator allows us to have the circuits in English, French, and Spanish with the basic products from automatic translations. All right, that's the topic. So we'll talk about it right now. I'm going to log into a test domain. I'm still in testing just while making the video and submitting a few more improvement suggestions, and you'll get the update later this week. So let's go take a look at the products. I'm entering my product database. I'll look at the first item here, and I'll go directly to my descriptive day in French. So I always remind you that you should always start with the language you know best, and then translate into the other languages. As you can see in this example, I've done some formatting to clearly show you the benefits and advantages, with a heading in size 1 for the main title, a heading in size 2 for a subtitle, and here you can also see a small simple list. So when my product is finally ready, I can easily save it for future use. So I have my description in French, and I can click here to autofill the translations. So when I click on it, it will automatically translate into the different languages: German, English, Spanish, and Italian. There you go. The work is done, so now let's check the result. Here I have my Spanish, English, German, and Italian versions. And as you can see in this exercise, I intentionally added titles and applied a style. And you can see that no matter the translation, the style is preserved. Here I have my list. Here I have my heading 2 and my heading 1. So it's a real time saver, especially since it keeps the formatting. So that's it for the product section with this little autofill translations button. Now I'm going to take a look at the geography section. It works in a different way to help you save time. You'll be able to generate your text directly, so you don't have to think about it. If you add a new place or a point of interest, you won't have to do anything else. Let's go check out the geography section right away to see how it works, and then I'll explain how it functions. I'm going to go to Bolivia, and I'll pick a region that's empty, like La Paz here. I have no information, no text, nothing. I'm simply going to click here on my autofill, and we'll see what happens. I'll explain the mechanics to you afterwards. There you go, it's done. You can see that by clicking there, I really didn't enter anything myself. I didn't enter any initial text in any language. It just appears automatically with the version. Again, German, English, Spanish, French, and so on. So the idea with your translations here is, of course, everything is always editable. You can change whatever you want. But the point is to say, we have a template, a way of presenting things, and you'll always present them in the same way, so you don't even need to write it out the first time. How does it work and how does it function? Here, in the settings, you'll see a new feature, which is the integration of artificial intelligence. So I'm going to look here under artificial intelligence. You can see that I have a default configuration. This cannot be modified. You can't change this text. It's really the default configuration that will automatically use the principle of a description that's not too long, that makes you want to travel and so on. So this applies to everyone in the same way. However, if you want to customize it because you have your own way of doing things, or you've connected your ChatGPT account that you already use with other tools, then you'll simply be able to generate your key by logging into your OpenAI configuration, and you'll be able to simply enter your OpenAI key here, generate your key, and create your own prompt. So here you'll be able to create the prompt that suits you best. And from that point on, when you create a new region, a new country, or a new city, Toogo will do it automatically by clicking on the translation button, but this time following your own prompt. So that's a bit about the new AI integration features. You've already seen the integration with your providers. Now you have it in your products, and you also have it in your geography. And so today, in the next update, you will have access to these new features. Of course, we look forward to your feedback to know if it meets your needs, if it's exactly what you want. And of course, we will continue to improve it. Thank you.